What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Last week you saw us make a full custom raised bed frame on our slammed 1970 C10, and we're not stopping there. Moving on here, we got our frame sit in position. Everything is nice and tight. We got our inner fenders in. Everything's clamped on right now. So now I'm gonna start working on some supports. These 1x1 angles are not as stiff as I was hoping. So I'm gonna make a couple supports. I kind of did a little sample piece here. So this is gonna kind of bolt onto the frame and onto our bed frame as well. So I'll do one here, one down there. And then instead of just doing a small piece like this, I'm gonna do a 36-inch piece going all the way across, making that real nice and stiff, because I'm also gonna be using that to brace this section here. I did cut a couple boards just to start looking at a layout and get my angle correct. And you see there's a gap here underneath our board to our frame, which is telling me that this thing is bowing down. So I'm gonna add some supports going from this bottom section frame up to this top section frame. Probably like a 1-inch pipe, something kind of like this. We'll bolt onto here from under the side and go straight up to that, which will bring this up, and then we'll be able to screw our wood into it as well. So we got a couple supports to make and then start playing with some wood. All right, we got our supports added on. This thing is rock solid, man. That's gonna work out nice. So next thing we're gonna work on our support from our bottom frame section. As you see, it's very flimsy. So now we're gonna tie these two together. So we got two pieces of 2-inch 3/16 angle. This one's gonna get mounted inside of this one. We're gonna use this same piece of hardware. So that's gonna get drilled out, angle it back like this. And then this one's gonna get bolted inside of there. That I'm gonna weld my 1-inch round stock from this piece here, which is gonna angle up to this one. Got our little center support on there. It's just tacked up. Everything's super solid now. We're gonna go ahead and modify it a little bit. We're gonna cut off this extra tab that's not needed on the bottom section here and here. And then we're also gonna build off of this bracket up top and just encapsulate this whole pipe. That way we get a nice weld all the way around it. And then we'll bolt this thing back in. And then we are good to go. And we're gonna start our wood. Meanwhile, I'm just getting our little final fitment on our fenders. Got a couple little pieces to add. Just trying to make it look real pretty, flush with the top. All right, most of our framing is done. Our fenders are bolted in. Now what I'm starting to do is laying out our wood. Layout on stuff like this is super crucial. The next thing you got to start planning for is our access door. So we're going to be adding a piece of framing on this side and on this side. Also going to be adding a piece of frame here. This is where our hinges for our door are going to be. And our actuators, we got some electric actuators coming in from Chuck C. So I'm gonna add a piece of steel here. I'm gonna tie it into this bracket so it'll have some nice support here in the middle. This is gonna be our hinged piece of framing. And like I said, we're gonna add some here. And then depending on what size my door is gonna be, I may add another piece here as well. That's gonna be decided. First what I'm gonna do is get my major support for our hatch in the back, get that welded on. And then get these stringers in on this side and we'll start planning out our door. right, finally we got all of our framing installed. Still got a little blending and cleaning up to do. Can't have any like bumps because the wood's gonna have to sit flat on that. This opening here is gonna be our hatch, surrounded by wood. I'm ready to start cutting some wood up. I'm gonna go ahead and start this side over here, trying to get this fit around these fender wells. So I'm gonna make a template. That way I don't mess up a very expensive piece of maple. I think those are like 90 bucks per board. So we don't wanna go screwing that up. Ran a trusty string line right down the center of the truck. All right, my first attempt at our template came out pretty good. So now what I gotta keep in mind, when I transfer this template onto my real board, the thickness is gonna be what I have to be careful with. So our fender goes down and kind of comes out. So I may have to back cut it at some sort of bevel. That way it sits tight at the top and kind of follows that contour at the bottom. So I went ahead and transferred my template onto my board and made my cut. And now you see exactly what I was kind of talking about. See how we're touching at the bottom down here, but at the top we have quite that gap. So in order to suck that in, I have to bevel the back edge of this board. I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch bevel from here, flush at the top. And the safest way to do it is with a router bit. All right, so this goes to show you, no matter how many tools you have, no matter how prepared you are, you're always missing something. So I bought router bits and they got the wrong size shank. I wandered over to my neighbor's cabinet shop. So my man over here stopped by the shop last week and asked me to do a little welding for him. I did that for him, so I was like, hey, favor for a favor. Let's get this done. Basically what we gotta do is we gotta take out the backside of this board, about a 45. So this is the router bit I have, but I don't have the right router. So I brought my router bit. He's gonna put it in his router, and he's gonna slide this puppy on through here. Wow! Take that meat out. All right, little walk back to the shop, get my steps in. As you see, there you go. I'm gonna take it back over there, fit it up, and then we'll see if old Nicky boy did a good job. The moment of truth. Oh, definitely needs some more. Fits good on this side. All right, so I got to get way more out in this area here. All right, after a lot of little tedious cutting, and I think we got this piece fitting up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. There's this one little spot right here that a little bit more of a gap than I'd like, but keep in mind we're just going to be doing some Bondo still on this, so we can build this metal up a little bit right here. That way these little gaps close up a little, but that is not an easy piece, man. This side is hard, that side's going to be hard, but everything else should go pretty smoothly. All right, we pretty much got all of our bottom shelf pieces cut with our angle, and we also have all of our little angle pieces going up, pretty much all cut. So I think what I'm gonna start doing now is doing some domino biscuits, domino joining here to hold my pieces kind of together and true. All right, so this is the domino joiner, the Festool. So this machine actually is like a plunge cutter. It puts like a mortised hole into our wood, as you see here, and then these are the dominoes, as they like to call them. This is a 30-degree cut, as well as this one. So you set your guard here
at 60 degrees. And then they just slip these in. So then when it's time to start gluing it all up, you put a little wood glue in there, and these things will be solid as a rock. No need for nails or any kind of fasteners. And this slips right in, like so. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right, now it's starting to come together. I got these two boards completely dominoed together here, 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 and here. Very smooth, even, flush, you name it. When we're all done, everything's cut and fit, then we'll start taking them all back out and gluing them and clamping them. So I'm gonna keep going on with this. We got these two done. I'm gonna pull this one out, I'm gonna put these to that, and then we could probably go these two together and then start working our way back this way. Got our whole back section put in, cut, everything's dominoed in. Nothing's glued yet because I want to make sure we get everything fit correctly before we start gluing everything up. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut my last two pieces in the back, which is going to be a little complicated, but nothing too hard. As you see here, you got like a bolt that's going to get in my way. You got these two little bump out sections here, and it goes from like 2 5/8 to like 3 1/8 because we're taking a measurement off of this little bump out. So I got two of those to make over here, which means I'm gonna have to pull out another saw. All right, now that I got all my wood cut for the passenger side, really we're all set up to this board here. So this is the last little area I want to fill in. So everything's got domino biscuits, all connecting everything. I took some of these out because these I'm gonna have to play with a little bit. I want to get all this stuff set and tight and sitting where you want it. That way when I make this cut, it's pretty tight like that one. So if I go and do that now, and then, you know, every board sucks in a 16th or even a 32nd, by the time we go over here, we could end up with a huge gap. So I don't want to make any of these cuts until I get this stuff positioned where it's going to be. All right, now that we got most of this wood on that side all glued together and pretty much, you know, positioned where I need it to be, it's time to go ahead and cut out this other wheel well piece of wood. So my template from the other side is pretty darn close. All right, I officially got all my wood cut, and I'm, you know, 50-50 pleased. I still have a couple little things I gotta kind of modify a little bit. Gotta shorten these little upper sections in here, just tiny bit, just so this all sits a little bit more level. This section over here is sitting on the frame, and then if I bring this one up, it's gonna sit above that other piece. So basically, if you see here, I got this one's down about a 16th, so as I start taking these things out to glue them, I'm gonna be making a couple little adjustments, a couple little cuts here or there, and then we'll start final sanding things. I may even throw some stain on them while they're out of the truck. But at least now everything's cut, everything's fit pretty good. So I've also decided that I'm gonna be adding some trim. What I'm gonna do is add a metal strip going across the back, holding that down, screwed into our frame underneath the wood. I'm also gonna add a angle up top here, which is gonna kind of go well with the metal door. And I'm also gonna add a flange on the top here that's gonna go all the way down to the bottom of our bed down below by the tailgate. I know you guys all like to ask questions on like how long things take. This took me a full week to cut all this wood and to get it done right. But yeah, we're gonna move on now. Start pulling this stuff out, making our adjustments, getting it put in. Now that all of our wood is cut and pretty much set in place, it's time to start working on my trim. I'm gonna start with my angle up here. This is a 60-degree angle here. So I got already some strips cut on the plasma cutter and cleaned them up. This is some 3/16 steel. So I'm gonna be throwing a strip up top and then one coming up to here. We can't bend this stuff on our brake. First of all, it's too long. We only have a 4-foot brake over here. And these strips are 72 inches basically in 5/8 anyway. So unfortunately we got to cut them in 2 pieces and weld them together, which is going to kind of stink because it's going to be a lot of welding and blending to make it look like one piece. Out pretty good. Gotta say, man, I like working with metal way more than wood, man. Way more forgiving. All right, got our first piece of trim on there. Now what we'll end up doing with this is countersinking some stainless steel button head countersink screw. We'll have some trim going on this board here. You know, something like so. Same thing on that side. And then we'll continue this trim also going down here on this one, and then also going across the back right here. So I think that's really going to complete the look. All right, now that I pretty much got all my trim cut, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step here, which is gonna be building a closeout panel for the back here. So we'll also have some access panels in it for when you gotta change out your battery, or if, God forbid, the electric actuated door isn't working and we need to get gas, so we'll still be able to squeeze our hands in there and get to our gas fill. So we'll have 2 access panels on either side, and then in the middle, we're gonna have this charging port and emergency cutoff. I kinda got my measurements already out here. And I'm gonna go ahead over to the plasma cutter. We're gonna cut a 16 gauge sheet. I need somewhere to attach it to the bottom. I have this angle here at top, and here's an angle at the bottom. So this will be the support and the spot where we're gonna go ahead and bolt in this panel. And then I'm also gonna go ahead and add 2 vertical supports coming from this bottom angle up to this one. starting to get our panels in. We got our charging station and our electric cutoff installed. I started looking at it last night and just looked really plain. Now, mind you, tailgate's gonna be shut probably 99% of the time, but I am gonna go ahead and add some bead rolling. I'm also gonna add a removable panel here in the section. In this middle section, just like I said, God forbid, our electric actuators fail and we need to fuel up. Basically what we'll do is have a panel out of perforated metal. Again, something kind of like this, but different shape, that we'll be able to bolt in with like a Zeus fastener. So if you're at the gas station and your electric actuators are not working, you just pop a couple little quarter turns, this panel will pop out, and you can go ahead and stick your gas, your filler up in there and get yourself some E85. All right, we got our removable panel laid out. Our red line indicates our flange, which basically will sit down right here on this black line, right on the groove of our bead roll. And then the green line is gonna be where I'm gonna set my bead roll at, which will raise this up and give me a flange for my corrugated metal. So we'll get this over to the bead roll, we'll get that done. Then we'll do another layout, make a cut in here. Then we'll trace that cut back over to our perforated. And then we're gonna actually have to cut that out as well. So got a couple more steps to do, but it's well worth it. While I'm waiting for my hinges and my electric actuator, I've decided to move on with coating our wood. This is the backside, all laid out here, and instead of using clear coat on it, like a polyurethane, which in my opinion, it's gonna be great for the top, but we don't wanna ever have to take this back out. Polyurethane's not a lifetime product, especially down here in South Florida. The sun and the weather will definitely wear and tear on it pretty quick. I'd say probably in a good year or two, we'll probably have to redo the bed if I end up using the polyurethane. I'm kind of tossing around the idea of using the Poppy Patina clear coat. So while we're talking about Poppy Patina, I'm also gonna be using their chassis armor on the backside of this wood. Basically there's no barrier between the wood and the elements of the road. If he's riding around in the rain or doing burnouts, and the underside is definitely going to get dirty. So we want to be able to protect it from that wear and tear. So instead of just painting it or putting a clear coat on it or an epoxy, I'm going to use this urethane chassis armor. This is a gloss black. Stuff's great. I've used it before. So it's super easy to use. You don't even have to mix anything, especially if you're rolling it or brushing it. So I'm going to be using a little 4-inch roller, and I got a tiny little brush here just in case it starts to spill out, and I don't want to get it on the upside, on the top side of it. So I'm not going to be doing these sides I may come down a little bit, but I don't want to get too close to the edge. I thought about taping it all off, but I don't really think the bang for the buck is worth it. So got it all laid out and we're ready to start going. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some of this poppy patina in my tray, put some gloves on. Let's get to it. All right, there you go. We are coated up. This stuff is gonna dry almost like a shell. And hey, I had a little extra, so why not do our cart? Poppy's patina, man, I put that shit on everything. All right, chassis coating is all dried, cured, ready to flip over. Go check out Poppy Patina website. Not exactly everything that he sells is all patina stuff. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and finish sanding these things down. We're probably, I think we're at an 80. I did an 80, so we'll do a 120, 220, 320, and then we should be ready to spray our clear. All right, it is go time. We got all of our walnut slabs prepped, ready to go. Everything's sitting out here in our spray booth. I know you guys love our spray booth. I know. Anyways, we got them sanded down to a 320. I wiped them down with a damp cloth, got some of the dust off it. I hit it with a spray, a little air on it real quick, just get anything else off. And we're ready to start mixing up some poppies. You guys have seen us do this plenty of times, mixing some flat out and some gloss to achieve a satin. So 4-to-1, pretty simple. Catalyst. We're gonna use the flat out catalyst, 4-to-1. I'm gonna probably mix up probably a full quart. Plenty of shelf life. So we'll get a quick dust layer, first coat on them, then we'll hit them up, start rocking and rolling. All right. This thing is coming along real good, man. So we got our bed frame fabricated, put in. We got all our wood cut, mitered. We got the bottom side coated with that Poppy's patina chassis armor. And then we have about 4 coats of a satin clear coat that we sprayed on her. I had to throw it back in and you know, just take a look at it. I'm also just did it again to confirm the size of my door. So now I know exactly what size it is. I utilize this trim to kind of square the door up. So we got 30 and 3/8 by about 40 and a half this way. So at this point, it's time again to pull out all the wood, all the trim, and start fabricating our door. But you guys are gonna have to wait till next week because that's it for this episode. That is a wrap. So if you guys got any questions on carpentry, on how to, you know, do stuff that we've been doing on this project, and this was a very time-consuming project, but it is coming out awesome. So drop a comment in the comment section. We'll try to get them answered. We'll see you guys in the next one. Toodaloo.